Let's talk about Trey Lance. I just saw a full training camp of him as the starting quarterback. And I think the question on people's mind is, was the trade worth it? Is he what they wanted him to be? Is this going to work out?
And how good is he?
And how good is he?
So why
So
don't we start with that? How good is he?
how
You were
good
there.
is he? I To me, he's about as good as he was last year. And he's about as good as Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not sure that they're making a big upgrade at quarterback just yet. Because some days he has great days where he's precise and on time and accurate and creating big plays. Other times he can't hit basic throws. And so it's up and down. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, Dad. I
Okay.
think to have a real Super Bowl, sorry, were you going to say something?
Well, I was going to summarize what you were saying before we get to the Super Bowl. What you're saying is he's inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
a really good quarterback, i.e., Tom Brady, is consistent.
Yes.
And so while you see really very promising things from Trey Lance, you see things that are troublesome. Let's not go to the Super Bowl yet. We're
Okay.
going too fast.
Okay.
What are some of the things you've liked that he does, and what gives you pause?
I like that he has demonstrated that he has the potential to become a top 10 or 5 quarterback at some day. He's 22 years old. He's very young and inexperienced. I didn't expect him to play like a top 10 quarterback this year, but he has shown that he has that potential. And he seems to have the drive, the talent, and the players around him to eventually become a top 10 quarterback. And if he becomes a top 10 quarterback, then the Niners will have a Super Bowl window that exists as long as he's a top 10 quarterback. They haven't really had one of those since Steve Young, Jeff Garcia.
Okay.
So he could become what they want him to become, but it's not going to be this year.
What gives you pause in his performance? And I gather that today, Tuesday, was not one of his best days.
No,
So
I mean, today he was 9 of 17 with 3 drops, so he was accurate, but he forced a pass to a double covered Kittle in the end zone and got intercepted. That was a bad decision. So he's inconsistent. And he's not looking like a top 10 quarterback right now. He's looking like a quarterback the Niners will work around the way they did with Jimmy. A lot of running. And if his accuracy goes in and out, then they'll run him.
did you mention also that his passes sail a little bit?
When he misses, like yesterday, a lot, he tends to miss high, which is troubling that he can't make the adjustment. Although he made the adjustment today.
Okay, here's what I'd like to do, Iggy. As far as the Super Bowl, they haven't started the season yet, and a lot of things are going to happen. We're going to learn a lot in the first 3 or 4 games about him and the team. So let's say they're a good team, but if he doesn't measure up, they're probably not going to make the Super Bowl. But we don't know what he's going to do. We know now, like they're going to open on Broadway, but they were in Philadelphia and Boston. You know what I mean?
It's just really hard to win the Super Bowl if you don't have an elite quarterback, as the Niners have demonstrated the last 3 years.
Yes.
And I don't think he's elite yet.
And Iggy, you don't think he'll become elite this season?
I don't think so. He's 22. For example, everyone compares him to Josh Allen, who is elite, is a top 5 quarterback. If the Niners had Josh Allen, they'd be in business. Josh Allen, it took him 3 years to become elite. He was 22. He showed promise, but it was a 3-year process, and now it was worth it for the Bills. And he's similar to Trey Lance in the fact that he's from Fireball, California, 7,000 people, farm town. He wasn't really recruited or properly scouted in high school. He had to go to community college, and he was a project. And the Bills bet on his traits. The Niners are betting on Lance's traits, and he could get there. And they understand that it's a multi-year process.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If Trey Lance gets there in year 2 or 3, is the window still open with the people he has around him?
See, now I want to talk about the Super Bowl. That's why I brought it up. To me,
now we got to be orderly, Iggy.
I like that. Okay. The way I look at it is you don't really have a Super Bowl window in the NFL until you have a top 10 quarterback. You might luck into one Super Bowl if you have a mediocre quarterback, but really, you need a top 10 quarterback to have a Super Bowl window. So the Niners didn't have that with Jimmy Garoppolo. They tried. They gave him multiple chances. He's not good enough. So now they're trying with someone else who may improve because Jimmy didn't. So I don't see that they have a Super Bowl window right now. Not until they have a Matthew Stafford, if they had gotten Matthew Stafford or Tom Brady, then yeah, they would have a Super Bowl window, but the quarterback's kind of important.
But what I'm asking is this: windows close.
Yeah.
So let's say he becomes a top 10 quarterback in next year or next season or the season after. Will the window still be open? Will Kittle still be there? Will they still have a decent offensive line? The window is not only him. The window's the team. I know they have a window this year. I'm not sure they do after.
Well, okay. But, and look, I'm saying they probably should have got Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford. But if they end up with a top 5 quarterback when he's 24 and they miss this previous, they'll make another window. Because the Niners had a window from 1981 to 1999 because of 2 players.
Right.
And they figured it out around them. And the team's changed. So I understand what you're saying, but man, if they can't win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, but all of a sudden they have this great quarterback, I think they'll be able to win a Super Bowl down the line, especially if they have these great drafts that they've been putting together recently, like this last one.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm probably a little more skeptical than you. I know they have this season, they do have a window. I expected the quarterback to be further along.
Fair enough.
And I don't blame him. I don't blame him for it. And I want to tell you who I blame, the head coach.
I expect he'd be further along too, Dad. Keep going.
Yeah. I mean, again, I apologize for going back to history and for mentioning Joe Montana and Bill Walsh, but really that's the standard. And I saw how Bill brought Joe along, and he brought him along more quickly than Shanahan is bringing along Lance. And I just think last season, had Shanahan been prudent and had foresight, he could have gotten this kid more ahead than he is now for the window they have this season.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I feel like last year was wasted, and he was saying, well, it'll be better. It'll be better for him to learn on the bench. Well, I'm not necessarily seeing that. I'm seeing a guy like what he did in training camp this year. I think he could have done that last year. I mean, he had basically like 1-to-1 TD to INT ratio, and he completed about 50-something% of it. He could have done that last year. Yeah. And the big thing is, okay, last year he was having this whole tutorial on the bench. Well, the guy who was coaching him is gone. So they're on their second quarterback coach in 2 years. That's not ideal. Yeah. And to me, I feel like he's like starting from square one right now.
And the idea of learning on the bench, excuse me, is baloney.
Baloney. Josh Allen in Buffalo started he might have sat 3 or 4 games, but essentially he learned on the field. Now the other guy you could compare Lance's situation to is Aaron Rodgers. Chico's a bigger town than where he's from, but it's in the middle of nowhere. No one knew who he was. He went to a community college, eventually went to Cal and sat on the bench for 3 years before he became elite around 25, 26. You got to trust the process with these guys who were community college guys and went to small schools. You can't really judge them at 22 years old.
All right.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Sure.
You've seen every snap that Trey Lance has taken in camp. What would you give him a grade for the camp?
B.
A B?
A B. I mean, if he were 27 on his second contract making $100-something million, I'd be harsher. But considering he's 22 and this is part of the process, I'll give it a B. It would be higher if he had played last year and he had shown more real improvement. But to me, this was starting from square one.
Okay. I would say, first of all, B is a good grade.
It is.
I consider Jimmy a C.
Right.
I do.
Right.
I consider Jimmy basically a C quarterback.
Right.
So if you're saying that this kid is a B quarterback, it is an upgrade.
It is.
Okay.
It is an upgrade. I believe it's an upgrade because for a lot of reasons. And we don't have to go into all of them, but I do believe it's an upgrade. But ultimately, whether he's a success or not isn't based on whether he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. It's whether he's a top 10 quarterback in the next 2 years. I think he can, but he's not now. No way is he now.
I love what you're saying. And you got questions? Okay.
No, go ahead. Keep going. Go ahead.
No, do your questions.
Bootswain Boogie 03 is now a member. Irfan Mirza says, have you seen what Brett Favre said about Jimmy? No, but if you want to tell me, or I'll look it up. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Looking forward to a great show. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Josh says, come on, Grant. You know there's no such thing as a Super Bowl window without Brian Hoyer. It seems like it's pretty tough to win a Super Bowl if you don't have an upper echelon quarterback. It can be done, though.